Good afternoon, everybody. As Rodney said, Curtis Buckland. I'm with Simmons Green & Associates. We've been established up here in Richmond since 1999. I opened the office up with another associate at that time. From there, I transferred to Newport News office in 2002 and opened that office set up. And then 2 years after that, they asked me to come back up and manage this office. So I've been setting my roots here since 2004. Live in Mechanicsville. So basically, I talked to Rodney, asked him if he wanted me to come in and go over some stuff with y'all as far as homes, as far as the appraisal process and FHA requirements, and answer any questions that I can. And if I can't answer them, I'll look them up for you. I mean, I've been doing it for 26 years, and sometimes even in y'all's industry, you get put in the spotlight and you can't think of the answer to the question. But I'll be more than happy to get your information at the end if I can't answer it, and I'll look it up and figure it out for you if I can't figure it out now. So Rodney was, as you mentioned, homes with garages and stuff like that. We can go over, how we deal with that, as an appraisal standpoint. But pretty much I want to start off as, I'm not sure if y'all are familiar with, have you even seen an appraisal? Has everybody viewed an appraisal, looked it over, and do y'all know what the C1, C2, C3, all the factors are for condition ratings? I mean, if not, pretty much I'll give a brief scope on that, because that's a big deal to us, especially when it comes down to a C3 rating. And I told Rodney I was going to speak to y'all about this. A C1 is a new construction house, and that's the only house that's going to get a C1 rating is new construction. When you have a house that's between 1 and 5 years old, possibly 6 or 7 is a stretch. I've gone that far, but typically within the first 5 years, if it's been lived in, it automatically goes to a C2 rating. And those houses were, clean. Everything's been well kept for those 3 or 4 years that the homeowners lived in it, and well maintained. Now I've gone in some houses that are 3 or 4 years old. It's not warranted a C2. It's already gone to a C3 because some homeowners, when they get in there, they have kids and it gets dinged up quite a bit. So that's when it just switches over to a C3, which is a well lived in house. When you get to homes that are going through their first life cycle of their appliances, roof, mechanical systems, at around the age of 15, it goes to, from 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 to 15, goes to a C3 condition rating, and on. Even homes in 1970s can be a C3, but as long as it's been well maintained and kept up with, and mechanical systems have been replaced, new roof, everything's been done. It doesn't have to be totally remodeled. Sometimes when we're doing an appraisal, I'll look at a house and say 70s ranch, still have the pink tile, the blue tile master bathroom, and even though it's dated in those items, if some of the major appliances and mechanical systems and roofing and windows and stuff, we can still classify that as a C3 because it's had major updates to it. Once you get past that stage into a C4 is where you obvious signs of deferred maintenance. And even though once you get to a C4, I'm not a home inspector. Appraisers are not home inspectors. So, and it's our job to visualize the house and report any defects to the lender. So if you've got a roof that's at the end of its economic life, like I said, I'm not an inspector, but I will disclose in the report that a third party should look at it because I can tell when a roof is at its end of its economic life. But if it's got masonite wood siding and it's rotten, I've done a handful of those where people just haven't taken care of it. That's where it's going to be a C4. And then you also have a C5, which is you know, the roof does need to be replaced. A lot of mechanical systems need to be replaced, and then it goes to a C6 where it's not habitable. So, but the big thing is when you get to a home that's had some of these major updates, if you meet the appraiser there, or if you have a fact sheet, make sure you let us know, like, within the last 15 years, we replaced the roof 10 years ago. The plumbing has been replaced within the last 5 to 10 years. It's got a new electrical panel. It's got new windows. It's got new carpet throughout. It's got, you know, anything within the last 15 years. So we can make sure to give it consideration, and it'll help us determine whether it needs to be a C3 or a C4.
I'm sure, like, a lot of this probably depends on the person, but like, as an appraiser, is it, I don't know a more professional way to ask this, is it annoying to have an HOV there, or do you appreciate when an HOV meets you there?
Ryan and I talked about it.
I'm gonna say he appreciates it.
I guess what's the best way to approach it? If I met you at a house, what's the best way for me to approach it so that it's productive use for our time?
I would, if it just depends. I mean, if it's vacant and lockbox, yeah, go vacant lockbox. All right, great, thank you. Boom, I'm done. I can go knock that out in 20 minutes. But if I got questions, or if I mean, just like you can put in the remarks of a report, or in the tab, I believe, underneath the photos, attachments, or whatever. If you have a fact sheet, you know, these are the items that have been done to the house, or you can say, hey, can I get your email to shoot you a fact sheet and let you know these are the items that have been done. You know, a lot of times when we get to a house, we want to get there. I mean, it's not that we want to be quick about it, but we want to do our measurements or pictures and go to the next one. So, not to be rude to y'all, but you know, we're trying to fit, looking at 5 houses in one day, from Dinwiddie to Henrico to Short Pump, and it's just a lot of drive time for us. So it's just, you know, getting to the house, doing what we have to do, and then move on. Sometimes, you know, don't take this the wrong way, it slows us down a little bit. But no, it is very helpful that you are there. If you're there, great. A lot of times, you know, agents will be like, the homeowner's gonna be home. Are you all right with that? And I'm like, totally, because I'm gonna do what I gotta do, and I'll let the homeowners know, hey, I'm gonna do what I gotta do, but afterwards I'm gonna ask you some questions about the house. So, and they'll fill in the blanks for me. What have you done in the last 5, 10, 15 years? You know, so whether it's the agent telling me or whether I get it from the homeowners, either way it's fine. But providing the information is important. I mean, to me, to be able to say, to justify, if I ever came back, why did you rate this as C3? Well, I rated it as C3 because the roof is 5 years old, the HVAC is 8 years old, the windows are 2 years old, and it's got all new floor coverings. Now, the bathrooms are still dated, pink and blue, but they're well maintained. It's not like the tiles falling out. There's nothing wrong with them. But you've also had major updates to the property that are warranted to be a C3. So, I mean, disclosing the...
What dollar amount, like when you say C3, C4, is that, can you put a dollar amount on what that does to the appraisal?
You can. As an appraiser, we don't really put a dollar amount on it. We try to extract it from the market. So if I have a house that's a C3, I'm going to try and use all C3 comparables. I'm not looking at C4s. But if for some reason I have to use a comparable that's a C4, and my other 3 comparables are all C3s, and this one's, you know, 350, 355, 360, this one's coming at 325. Okay, well, maybe I need to hit it 15,000 for condition because it's coming in the lowest. So we actually try and extract our numbers from the market. It's not some numbers that we just grab out of the air. So back to what Rodney said at the beginning, appraising houses with or without a garage. You know, we try and do apples to apples, oranges to oranges. If you don't have a garage, I'm gonna look for houses that don't have garages. Now, if I can't find, I need to find at least one that doesn't have a garage to determine, okay, this one doesn't have a garage. let me make my adjustments based off what this one comes at. You know, after all the adjustments are made and everything's equal, how much is that garage worth? How many are the other ones coming in higher than the one that doesn't have a garage? You try to extract it from the market. And that goes the same thing with, we always want to, when you're dealing with houses on acreage or square footage, you always want a bracket. So if you're going to list a house and it's on 5 acres and you're pulling your comps for this house that's on 5 acres, don't use all comparable, don't do a CMA and be like, well, here's one that's 10 acres, that's 8 acres, that's 12 acres, that's 15 acres. Where's the one that's 3 or 4 acres? You know, where's your lower end one? Because as an appraiser, we can't just put 5 comps on there and all of them be bigger than the subject property as far as acres. And the same thing applies with square footage. You know, you always want to bracket your square footage. So we can't have like a 1,500 square foot house and then all of our comparables be, you know, 17, 18, 19, 2,000 square feet. Because they're always, you know, they're all coming down negatively. You gotta have a balance. Acreage, square footage, garage, bedroom count. If you got a house that's a 2-bedroom, I would start off by finding a 2-bedroom house. And go from there.
So it's not necessarily the square footage you're looking at 2-bedroom versus 2-bedroom.
Correct. Now, if you have a 3-bedroom versus 4-bedroom, 2-bedroom and 1-bedroom is when we really need to concentrate on bedroom count. When you get to a 3-bedroom, 4-bedroom, 5-bedroom, typical in the market. But when you have something that's 2-bedroom or 1-bedroom, the lender is going to come back on us. They're going to be like, great, you got a 2-bedroom house, you have 5 comparables, and they're all 3 bedrooms or more. Can you send me another comparable that's a 2-bedroom to justify the value? So then we have to go back in and do it. I mean, it's bracketing the bedroom. So, you know, at least having something similar to or less than bedroom count wise. So back to the garage thing. We always, if you don't have a garage, we want to find a comparable that is sold that doesn't have a garage. And then, you know, if it's a 1-car garage, find something that doesn't have a garage or that has a 1-car garage. And you can have other comparables on there that are, you know, 2-car garages, but we want to be able to make the correct adjustments and extract it from the market based on the ones that didn't have a garage or it's a 1-car garage. So, I went through the condition. Did y'all have any questions in reference to the condition and as appraisers what we're looking for? You know, it's just
I just wonder, is there a dollar amount of the difference of a house with a garage and without a garage?
There's not, but I've been doing it long enough. Typically, when we make an adjustment in today's market in the Richmond area here, I mean, it could be different in Texas, but here, I typically, depending on the house and what we're dealing with and location-wise, I mean, like I just did one in the fan yesterday, garage art, you know, there's not too many garages in the fan. You know, I did $10,000 a day. You know, I had a three-car garage. Now they're the little garage, but it was a 3-car garage. You know, I did $30,000 for it. In your typical neighborhood that has a 2-car garage, we usually do $5,000 a day. Now, if it's a larger garage, and it still has 2 bays, I might do $7,500 a day. Or if you're dealing with something over in Tarrington, over Midlothian, you know, you might do, if it's a normal 2, you might do $7,500 a day. So anywhere, you know, per bay, it's usually either going to be 5, 75, or 10,000. That's what I've done the last 24 years. I haven't seen anything different. Telling me.
With the garages, you weigh anything attached versus detached, or you do
No,
the same?
I do the same. I don't. A garage is a garage, so it serves its same purpose as whether it was attached or detached. I know there's probably a personal preference to some people or typical home buyer, but there's no way for us to extract that from the market and say Johnny's willing to pay $10,000 more to have that attached rather than detached. It's hard to extract it from the market unless you really go into detail with it.
So is there a number to call or a button to push if you need 35,000 to pay? Because we built some good garage.
RCI building?
We built some really good garage, they did a $35,000 button.
35,000? I haven't seen it. I mean, has it been done? I'm pretty sure it has.
Okay.
But I mean, have you seen it?
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, be honest. I mean,
I think if you build a house in a neighborhood that doesn't have a garage, in a neighborhood where everybody's got a garage, I don't know. I'm just asking.
it just has to be justifiable. It has to be justified somewhere.
Yeah.
I mean, I just can't.
I'm sure you
can't-
can see a lot of different stuff.
You just can't stick a number on it and say 35,000.
Yeah.
You know, so if I had comparable sales that, that were in the market area, maybe not in that immediate neighborhood, that told me that it was 35,000 a bay, then that's fine, it's justifiable. But I just haven't seen it. I mean, like I said, everything has to be backed up on paper. I mean, facts as far as making adjustments, and we just can't randomly put 35,000. I mean, we do the work, and we do come up to a conclusion with it, and that's what we feel is the right number based on all the other adjustments. I'm trying to think if I've gone higher than 10. I might have gone to 15, but I mean, there's no set number. It's all based off the market, pretty much, at the end of the day. If you're looking for a number on certain items, or bathroom counts, or bedroom counts, it's all determined by the market and what we derive from the market.
Well, how much problems are you having because of lack of sales? Like, all kidding, I'm not kidding with it, but like in a lot of neighborhoods where they have 2-car garages, all the houses have 2-car garages, so you don't really need to worry about it, right?
Right.
So ones like that. But then all of a sudden now when I go and I pull a comp, or I'm gonna list a house, and one house is sold, what I would say in the neighborhood, right? So you just don't have any comps. How do you deal with that in today's market? How do you deal with that?
Just in general, whether it's
Yeah,
garage,
just
no
not
garage,
enough, just not enough material,
then that's when you start expanding outside the neighborhood. Matter of fact, I think I did RCI build out in the vineyards out in New Kent.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, I was looking at a house with you that morning, and I told her I was having issues with it. $900-some thousand house, and they took a half bathroom when they built it. They took a half bathroom or a full bathroom out of the upstairs, and that was like a 2-bathroom home, for $900,000, a 2.5 bath home. And I'm like, well, I gotta find something that's gonna bracket my bathroom count,
Yeah.
And
if you get outside of that neighborhood.
there was nothing in the neighborhood. I went to Hanover. I came to Kansas. I found one in Mechanicsville, and it was justifiable. It was a resale. I think it was a resale. I'm not sure if it was new construction, but it would bracket my bathroom count. But my other 3 sales were from the immediate neighborhood. So, obviously I'm gonna stick with sales from there, but if I have to jump out of the neighborhood or out of the market to justify something, then that's what you need to do. So, I can't remember where it was in Mechanicsville, I know that, the comparable I used, but to answer your questions, if you've only got one sale in the neighborhood, it's time to start expanding your market, Appraisal I have now y'all know New Kent. I got one in Quinton, townhouse. Less than 1,100 square feet, 2-bedroom townhouse in Quinton, New Kent. How many townhouses are in New Kent? Not many. Not many. it's an interior unit, it's not an end unit, and I don't even know where to begin to look, so, I mean, everything, I think it's priced right, but I need to find comparables for it, yeah. I mean, I mean, you go to Quinton, you can go to West Point, they've got some townhouses in West Point, but, you know, even those are up in the 300, you know, and you can go over to Villa's townhouses over in Berkshire, and they're in the 300. I mean, this one's listed like 210, 220, 230, something like that. So I really don't, I mean, I don't know what I'm gonna do with that one. That's gonna be a hard one. I mean, the only other place I can think of is back towards the airport in Roco. I mean, y'all got any suggestions for me? Just looking for answers here. Listen, y'all can help me. I'm helping you.
We recently sold
Works
it.
both ways. Huh?
We recently sold a townhouse near the airport that was in that price range.
Oh, did you?
Sure.
Oh, great.
Ashland.
Ashland? That's a little deep.
Is the Quinton one in Patriots Landing?
Huh?
Is the Quinton one in Patriots Landing?
No, it's on North Hempstead Road. There's only 5 units there.
What?
It's right next to the Quinton Park. The Quinton, as soon as you turn on North Hempstead Road off of the New Kent Highway, you make a right on North Hempstead, and then go half a mile to a mile down, and you have the Quinton Community Park there, and it's like 5 units. And that's it. 5 townhouses. No other townhouses. It sits right next to a single wide mobile home park. It has a park on one side and a mobile home park on the other side, and there's 5 townhouses. So, I mean, that's gonna be, I mean, like I said, it's gonna be hard for me to find a house for it. I've done one in there moons ago. I mean, I can't remember, but I remember back then I had a hard time with it, so I have no idea what I'm gonna do with that one. But there's other things. I mean, I just did one in Midlothian off of Old Gun. I think it was 1.7, something like that. Beautiful house. It was built in 2016, 2017. I called it a C2. It had a ADU. Y'all know what the accessory, okay.
I was thinking about those, because there are no comps for ADUs.
There is. Believe it or not, there is.
Really?
Well, it's a lot harder down there in Midlothian, but there are comparables out there. Just know this, that in certain counties, you need to verify full kitchens. Some counties do not require, they do not allow a range, like a second range. Because I called Chesterfield, and Chesterfield said no, it's not permitted, it's not legal, it's not legally permissible to have the second range. Now this house being this one point, I mean, it was like a detached ADU. When you walked in, you're talking about granite countertops, tile backsplash, custom cabinets on the first floor with a bathroom and a laundry area and a dining area, and you walk upstairs to a living area and a bedroom. I mean, it was a nice accessory unit. But the county said it was illegal because it had a range. They were actually classifying it as a second dwelling. And that's why it was illegal. So they made that they said in order to be an accessory unit, they needed to pull the range out and they needed to pull the refrigerator out. So I haven't got any more, that was a week or 2 ago, but I haven't gotten it back out to make sure that it was removed. So go
Sorry,
ahead.
I was gonna ask, what do you do in that situation? Are you not able to move forward on an appraisal in that
No, I
situation?
completed, I make the appraisal subject to, in order to be legal. You know, in order to be legal and permissible in Chesterfield County, they're requiring that the range and the refrigerator be removed. This report is being subject to those items being removed. Send it. It's up to the lender. Now, if they wanna abide by it, it's up to the lender and the buyer.
Yeah.
So,
Are 2 ranges acceptable in Hanover County?
well, I believe so. I just didn't want, I've had some complex properties here last month. Just did one on Chestnut Church Road, 1950s ranch. little 1,100 square footer. They were gonna use that as an ADU and build a new house on 11 acres just off to it. And of course, I got there and saw the ranch, their brick ranch they were renovating. And I said, is this gonna be legal and permissible with the Hanover County? And the homeowner said, yes, sir. He said, as long as we hook the main water and sewer, the well and septic, up to the main dwelling, that the utilities have to be hooked up to the main dwelling. And it met the setbacks of the yard, the lot. The lot is really, it was really like messed up. It was like an acre here, an acre there, and then swung back to like 8 acres. It was like 11 some acres. But it met the setbacks of the yard, of the size, and where they were putting the new house, which was probably 150 yards behind the existing dwelling that they were gonna make the ADU. And the other thing was that it could not be occupied for more than 90 days at a time. That was so I looked at them and I said, now this is all for new construction, refinance and all that. I looked there and said, okay, so are they gonna come out every 90 days and make sure no one's living here? She laughed and she's like, I don't know. I was like, well, okay. But those were the 3 things that she provided me with. Now, I did not go back and call Hanover County and verify with them, but this is what I disclosed in my report and told London. Based on the discussion with the homeowner, these are the 3 things that are required by Hanover County. So hopefully they're correct.
How about a house that has like an in-law suite in the basement, that has a stove and everything?
Now, I did one in Hanover County a handful of years ago, over in Ashland, just north of Ashland. 15 acres, had a full basement, and the basement was decked out. I mean, totally. The basement looked like the first floor, and had a range. And I called, that was, like I said, it was over 5 years ago, but I called the county then, and they made them remove the range from that one. So, it makes me believe that you cannot have 2 ranges in the same dwelling in Hanover County. I would have to call on, if we as an appraiser come across that stuff, we'll call the county and verify. So, and we'll disclose it to the lender. Hey, this is what needs to be done. So, but yeah, I mean, every time we come across that situation, we pick up the phone and call and make sure it's legal. I mean, that's the most important thing of our report at that time when we're dealing with that stuff, if it's legal. Because if it's illegal, then we have to disclose it, or it's coming back on us.
You mentioned basements. I was hoping you might be able to touch on that a little bit. I've been told that a basement is just a modification of the foundation. And I know that's a big generalization, but could you speak to the different values given to fully below grade, partially below grade, finished, unfinished?
Yeah, I mean, once again, it goes back to, the market, my market analysis. I mean, if I pull up to a house, I just literally did one yesterday. I wrote it up last night out in Louisa, 20 acres, 1,500 square foot ranch with a 1,500 square foot unfinished basement. I mean, it's just comparing apples to apples and oranges to oranges. This one was a walk-up basement. It was fully below grade, had stairs coming out the back. I typically don't make an adjustment if it's a walk-up basement versus a full walk-out basement. If there is a difference, if I found a house, if my subject was a walk-out basement, and I found 1 or 2 comparables that were walk-out basements, and then one that was a walk-up, and I saw that there was a difference in what it sold for, and I can extract it from the market and make adjustments accordingly and justify it, then it can be made. Typically below grade, there is a price per square foot difference. Say if I'm adjusting at, above grade $80 a square foot, typically below grade, it could be depending on the quality of how it's built out. Sometimes you see people, basement's finished, you go down, it's paneled, it's not even drywall, it's paneled with a drop ceiling and vinyl flooring. It's finished, yes, but is it finished like the upstairs? No. You got vinyl flooring, paneled walls, and a drop ceiling, and so there's where we tend to not adjust the same as an above grade. And, so like something in the basement, like something like that, I might do, half of what I'm doing upstairs. If it's the same quality, build out in the basement is upstairs, it would probably be more closer to what I'm adjusting for upstairs. But it just depends on the quality and condition of how it's built out.
So if it's nice, like plush basement, you're close to the same level?
I would probably do a $20 difference per square foot. So, 20 to 30. But if it's like totally opposite, I'm talking that'd be 50% of what I do upstairs.
What would an unfinished basement per square foot get you?
Like I said, it just depends on the appraisal. It depends on what the market's allowing and what I extract from the market. I think last night, I think I did $20 a square foot for the unfinished basement. The unfinished basement was 1,500 square feet. So, do that. That's what I adjusted for in the comparables that didn't have a basement. Now I found homes that did have basements, and they were unfinished that I used, and that's where I got to derive my number from.
When you're looking at exterior stuff, do you have a certain number of values you have for suite patios or pools or pool houses and that kind of stuff?
Not really. It just depends on the quality of it, the quality of construction. Obviously, if you're dealing with a hardscape patio that's it's got the benches and the bluestone and stuff like that, we're going to make a higher adjustment for that. You're not going to get dollar for dollar. I just did a report on Swift Creek Reservoir, and the gentleman, it's actually bought the lot 4 years ago for $290. He's putting the house on it, and he's got like close to $400,000 just on outside stuff. Whether it's retaining wall, in-ground pool cover, greenhouse, dock, and I'm like, dude, how do I? Unfortunately, the pool's cost him $87. The pool covered, which he's including in it, is like 16 or 17, and the greenhouse was another 50, and the dock was another 25 or 30, and then the retaining. I'm like, it just kept on adding up. I'm like, it's costing you 1.3 to build, but 300,000 or 400,000 of the 1.3 is all outside amenities and stuff like that. So it's hard for us to justify, dollar for dollar what he's paying for to get it, to get the value.
So would you say you're 50%, 25%, 40%, 60%?
I would say probably 25 to 50.
In your extensive experience, have you ever had any of your appraisals contested?
Oh yeah.
And have you?
Oh yeah.
And have what was if you made a change because of the contest? What were the things that were compelling enough to encourage you to do that?
How about tell us the process of how one does contest?
Well, there is a new process. I literally, one of my major clients is Virginia Credit Union. I do a lot of work, and I have for over 20 years for Virginia Credit Union, and I know the managing processor very well. I just spoke to her before this meeting today. She said she wanted to get with me because there's a new FHA reconsideration process that's coming out next month, and she wanted to sit down and talk to me about it. So I don't have the details on that now, but typically the reconsideration process is if you're appealing an appraisal, you need to go through the lender. The lender will reach out to us. If you have an appeal, you need to supply them with data, whether it be comparables or anything else that might help improve the value of what we have. And we're humans. If I mean, people may, I may overlook something. I mean, I do the best I can. We do the best we can as appraisers. There might be something out there that we overlook. There might have been a for sale by owner that happened in the neighborhood that was 2 doors down, that we didn't know about. And you knew about it because the homeowner said, well, he just sold his house for sale by owner. Well, you knew about it, we didn't know about it. And you provide that. Do I like using for sale by owners? No. Because you don't know if the John Deere tractor was included in the price, sales price. You don't know what's included, what amenities was included in that sale. I don't know. I mean, and we don't know even through the MLS, but at least y'all disclose most of the time if something is included in the sales price or not. So, I mean, for sale by owners, I'll use them, but I don't care to all the time. So if you do have comparables and you're contesting the value of a home, I would go to the lender first, and the lender will reach out to us, whether it's with your comparable sales or additional information that wasn't taken into consideration about the subject property, which you could have provided to the appraiser prior to doing the appraisal, if you met them there, or gave them a fact sheet, or exchanged emails and send them a fact sheet saying, hey, these are items that have been done within the last 15 years. Did you give these any consideration? I didn't see the appraisal report, that it has a new roof, that it has this, that it has that. And then I can look back and say, well, okay, well, I didn't realize that, but I'll give it consideration and go from there. So there are different, that's the recourse you want to give, is basically going through the lender first. Because as an appraiser, I can't just go back and change as it goes through the recourses to the lender.
Who makes the decision, you or the lender? Whether that information is valid?
The lender will usually provide me with the information. The lender will send it to the appraiser. If they think it's valid enough, they'll send it to the appraiser. I've had some agents send me some stuff from different counties, and I'm like, are you kidding? What's wrong with the 3 sales I used in the immediate neighborhood? You want to send me over to Henrico or wherever, a different county, and they're not even sales. We have a 1990s house, and you're sending me stuff that's in the 1950s, but it's sold for higher because it was in Tuckahoe versus somewhere, you know what I'm saying? I mean, just because it's a sale and it supports the square footage and the square footage adjustment, it's not apples to apples, and you're in a totally different market, It's just like exceeding boundaries. You try to stay within your boundaries, and that's why I typically grab my comparables from.
That's what I was gonna ask about.
Yeah, I mean, like if I'm appraising something, y'all know Patterson, I'm gonna say trying to stay south of Patterson. If I'm down at Tuckahoe or somewhere, or if I'm in Hanover County, unfortunately, the way I see a lot of the times is Hanover and Natalie School District is the majority of the high ends there. Although, I'll tell you what, Patrick Henry is blowing up too on national. Try and stay, when I'm dealing with Hanover, I try and stay in the same school districts. If I have to dip into one or the other for a certain reason, whether it's, I can't find something to bracket my upper end of the square footage or upper end acreage, let me slip over into, Patrick Henry, and I'll disclose it in my report, the reason for crossing Interstate 95, the bracket the subject square footage or acreage or bathroom count, bedroom count, and it all goes back to bracketing. You know, if I have to leave a certain area to bracket something, or, you know, justify something, then I'll do it. And as long as we disclose in the report, hey, it's similar market area, it's from the same county, both buyers, it's competing neighborhoods, you know, typical buyer has access to same public amenities, you know, there's no problem with it. Any questions on that? FHA, I'm gonna touch a little bit about FHA. Is there any other questions as far as boundaries, housing, garages, anything else?
I do
Go
have
ahead.
one more on the two stove thing.
Mm-hmm.
So what does that do to in-law suites? I mean, does that mean in-law suites are not permissible in that county?
They can be, as long as there's a permit for them.
Okay,
They have to be permitted.
I got you. Okay.
And a lot of times, unfortunately, as appraisers and probably as agents, you run into it and then it's not permitted. And I think it can be done, but it just has to be done the right way.
Okay,
Just each county's different, and you'd have to ask them about it and go the correct way from there.
okay.
FHA, do y'all have any questions in reference to FHA? As an appraiser, when we come out, the main things we're looking for, we have to do an attic check, which I do head and shoulders. Big fella, it's kind of hard for me to get up some of the scuttle holes. So I'm just doing head and shoulders. My main inspection is from the outside of the roof, making sure the economic life needs to be at least, needs to be 2 years old, more than 2 years economic life on the roof. It cannot have no more than two roofs. So I don't know if you know anything about roofing. I mean, typically you need to remove the old roof. Sometimes people put a new roof on top of the existing roof, but it can't be no more than 2 FHA. If that's a third one, it needs to be corrected. And they require us, the FHA pretty much looks at us as a home inspector, and by no means am I a home inspector. My job is to observe and do research and put a value on the property. So when it comes to FHA, it's just a little bit more work for us. We have to look in the crawl space, take a picture of it, make sure that we view the crawl space, make sure we view the attic. I mean, if there's standing water that we can see in the crawl space, which I've been to several properties where there's standing water. There's a plumbing leak and the homeowners didn't know, but there's standing water on top of the vapor barrier and it needs to be addressed. So that's why I'll disclose in the report that, you know, there's visible water, third party needs to come out and investigate from there and have it taken care of. Any chipping and peeling paint, even if it's built before 1978 or after 1978, if you have surfaces that were painted before, it's chipping and painting, peeling, it needs to be resealed to protect the existing wood, whatever. The one that's real important is the 1978, where lead-based paint was prevalent prior to 1978. That's a big deal. I just did one in Charles City, FHA refinance. Cute little cinder block, painted house, 5-car detached garage. But the garage bays, all the garage bays, the brick molding, at the end they were rotted on every single garage bay. Garage was in good condition. It's just that it had the rotten wood where rainwater would, where it's gotten to the brick molding, and unfortunately I had to replace it. I had some chipping and peeling paint on the exterior, and I went and did the final. Everything was taken care of. Unfortunately, the chipping and peeling paint was left on the ground, and it can't be, unfortunately. And I explained that to the homeowner. I mean, if there's a child, if they have somebody, we don't have children. I said, well, if you have somebody who's visiting, you know, nephew, niece, cousin, toddler, and they're out running around, and they pick it up, eat paint chips, that's lead-based paint. That's where you got a problem at. So when you're going to list the property, if you think it might be like an FHA, I know some areas you can say, you know, people might go FHA in this area. You wanna make sure there's no chipping and peeling paint or rotten wood. And if it is, maybe address it before the listing. Because if they do go FHA, the prospective buyers, these are just items that are gonna have to be taken care of before they close on the loan. And if it is, you know, like, you know, regardless if it's chipping, just make sure it's remediated properly. But is there anything else FHA wise? Those are the main things that we look for at FHA: rotten wood, chipping and peeling paint, the roof, economic life, crawl space, looking for any standing water, if we see any moisture or any mold on the floor joist. And once again, if it's not a tall crawl space, I'm not going too far in there. Yes.
What would be the difference between, you know, air conditioning with window units of the value versus, you know, central air?
The difference, would I adjust what in the appraisal process? How much do I adjust?
Yeah, for the values.
I typically do anywhere from, you know, $25,000 to $5,000 for window use versus central air. So if you, I mean, again, if your subject property has no central air, my job is to find a comparable sale that doesn't have central air. So like when you're going to list the property, I mean, these are like key factors that you should, okay, well, the appraiser's going to find something, because that's with the lender. I mean, the lender's going to, if I send 3 houses over that all have central air, the lender's going to be like, great, can you tell me how much a house is without central air? I'm going to have to put it on the report. So again, going back to the 2-bedroom, bracketing, garages, all that stuff, it also applies to central air. So there's a lot of different factors that are taken into consideration, you know. So if you have a listing that you're getting ready to do and it doesn't have central air, try and find something in the market area that doesn't have central air. And start from there. If it's, you know, your house might be immaculate, you know, and this house that doesn't have central air is not immaculate. You know, we go back to the condition rating. Yours is a C3, where the one that doesn't have central air, like yours, is a C4. What would it cost to bring that up to $25,000 condition adjustment? You know, so if it's sold for $150, and you're thinking about listing yours for, you know, $200 or $175, you know, you can, here's one that's sold with no air conditioning, but it's in inferior condition, at least 25. I mean, mine's got remodeled kitchen and bathrooms. This doesn't have anything. You know, $25,000 difference versus, you know, homes that have been renovated with central air. So at least, you know, having a low end.
Back to that roof, when you said 2-year economic life, that means it has 2 years left.
2 years left.
Yeah.
Handrails.
Handrails, very important. Thank you. I
We
just
need
had-
handrails and buckling sidewalks. When do they need to be addressed?
Safety.
No, but when, is it
FHA.
any buckling, or is there a certain?
Gray, it's a gray area. Yeah.
Got it.
I mean, you know, you're talking about, no. I mean, when it comes to trip factor and safety
Got it.
issue, yes. I just did the FHA out in King William. Guy had vinyl railings all around his deck. Deck was the width of the house, 12 foot out, and had stairs going out the back. Had railings for him, but they had stairs going over here. Had no railings for him. You know, it's 30 inches high. To refinance, I said, look, unfortunately, you either put on the railings across, or you put handrails going down. I said, you know, unfortunately, it's not going to pass FHA. And of course, I did the report subject to them putting the railings across or handrails down. Typically, it's any lender, it's going to be 30 inches, or whatever county code is. Typically, it's whatever county code. I use rule of thumb is 30 inches for me. you know, if I get out there and I'm like, you know, do a little measurement, and like, okay, I'll pass, you know, so.
Would they be able to increase the grade in order to pass it?
I've never come across that, to be honest, where someone's
Made it?
raised up the yard to, I haven't.
That's a good question.
It's a good question, I just haven't come across it, I don't know. I'm assuming they could, but I don't know what we need just to put.
Now, is
a rail up.
VA similar guidelines as FHA? when it comes to-
Yeah, VA is supposed to follow suit with FHA, correct. Is there any other FHA questions? Anything on manufactured dwellings and modules? Done my fair share of those.
Above ground pools, FHA, any particular hiccups there?
Oh, it's personal property.
Okay.
Yeah, it shouldn't be included FHA or conventional or any type of appraisers.
Okay.
Above ground pools are personal property. They can be taken down and taken away.
I like
Yeah. I mean, yeah, the same house I just referenced out in King William, the guy had, and I felt bad, but I mean, I just can't. He had a 12 by 20 workshop that he had drywall. It was his workshop. He had drywall and had mini split. Then his wife had one on the other side of the 7 acres. It was newer and like one of those nice ones you see on the side of the road, with a mini split. But both of them were brought to the property on a flatbed. Both of them were on cinder blocks. I mean, it's kind of hard for me to give it value when they can take it up, put it on a flatbed and take it away. It's personal property. It's not fixed to the property. So, and I explained that to the homeowner, and she's like, yeah, my husband wanted me to tell you that these are all insulated and drywall and conditioned, and they got mini splits. I'm like, well, unfortunately, I can't give credit to them because they can be easily taken off the property, just like in above ground pool. You know, they were nice little offices, you know, studios, but I mean, they were just resting on cinder blocks. And just hard for us as appraisers to give that credit if it can be removed. So,
Well, to that end, modular manufactured homes, you know, all that stuff falls into the same kind of thought process, right?
they are, but a lot of them have cinder block foundations, a lot of them have pier foundations, and they have
But
tie
they're
downs.
tied to it.
They have
all
tie
the-
down, hurricane tie downs,
Yep.
you know, this affixed to the ground, I mean, via that way. Some of them have the vinyl skirting that go around them.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, you're 100% correct. But, you know, the double wide and single wide, they all have to have the trailer hitch and all that has to be removed.
Chassis
So, doesn't necessarily have to be on a permanent foundation. Some of them are on a block foundation with a vinyl skirt around them, but the hurricane tie downs are gonna be, you know, I can't remember how far they are on the ground, but it's not going anywhere.
Right.
So, and it's hooked up also to the well and septic system as well, so. Anything else that I can?
For the appraisal, do the solar panels?
Solar panels, good question. Solar panel, we cannot give solar panels any credit if they still are under lease. If they're not owned by the homeowner, we cannot give them credit because there's still a contract, existing contract out on them.
Repo.
Right, they can be taken away. So unless they're paid off, we can't give them credit, you know.
Even if they'll be paid off at closing?
Yeah, cause that's after my pay, I mean, you can say they're gonna be paid off at closing, and it doesn't end up happening, but, you know, usually my appraisals, you know, a few weeks before closing, you know, unfortunately, we can't, it's as of the effective date of the appraisal.
Kurt, what about measuring houses and stuff?
Yeah, measuring houses. So I know that y'all are required to state how you got your measurements now, right? Is that law, state law, or MLS law? Okay. And I see a lot of agents, they'll put tax records or they'll put appraisal, but sometimes they don't include the appraisal or the sketch, where they got it from, which, if you do have it, that'd be great. If you don't have it, I'll be more than happy to take care of it for you. I mean, you're more than welcome to give me a call. I'll give you my business card before y'all leave. If you need a sketch on the property, I'll be more than happy to do it.
What's your company charge about for that?
I gave Rodney I can't remember what I quoted you on everything, but I can go
I have it
through
in my
it.
email.
Yeah, I can go through it. I mean, it just depends. I mean, typically it's 150, depending on size. I mean, if I'm traveling to Columbia in Goochland County, obviously it's gonna be a little bit more. If I'm dealing with like a 3,000 square foot or 4,000 square foot house, it's gonna be a little bit more depending on the size of it. You know, I've seen, I mean, the house that I mentioned, the one off Old Gun, they had an appraisal done on it, or a sketch done on it, and he charged me $400. Now it was a 5,000 square foot house, but I mean, that's, you know, it takes time when you're measuring those cut up big houses that are, you know, 1.7 million. So, it just really depends on the location, you know, if it's local in the medium market area, being, you know, City of Richmond, Henrico, Hanover, Chesterfield. And that's a typical house, usually around 150. So,
But it is required in MLS, if you say per appraisal, you gotta attach it to the listing. MLS will send you a nice little email asking for it.
yeah, I see it all the time where it says per appraiser, and then I'll go click on the marks or the attachments, and then go from there. And we can't, I mean, I'll use it, if they attach it, then I'll use that square footage that was sketched out. If it helps. If it doesn't help. Right? No, I'm just kidding.
My guys, well,
So-
Curtis, awesome job. Thank you very much.
Yeah.